Good day everyone and welcome to another banger video whereby we are talking about South African politics and its influence, right? So there's a video that I made not too long ago talking about Jacob Zuma on how influential he is, especially in the political arena of South Africa, right? So you know what was interesting? Some of the fighters, the EFF members came and they disagreed with me. Not only disagreed, but strongly disagreed with me to say that Jacob Zuma is not the most powerful politician of all time. But you know what, fighters? Fighters, come here. Come here, fighters. Before I continue, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button to this channel so that you and I will have these conversations daily. All right. So all political party members, I invite you, please leave a subscription. And those who say they don't vote and they don't want to be part of any political influence or party, I implore you, please subscribe to this channel so that we will grow bigger and have these conversations amongst ourselves. So fighters, I heard you. I saw your messages. I read the comments as I promised in that previous video. So you're disputing to say that Jacob Zuma is the most influential politician of all time, right? When I say of all time, I mean those who are living, right? So we have living legends, the pioneers. We have people like Thabo Mbeki. We have people like Kgalema Motlanthe, right? So because those ones, they are there, like they are the elders. Let me just compare them with Jacob Zuma, then I will move forward and tell you why Jacob Zuma, I think, is the most influential politician in the 21st century, in those who are living, of course, because he's the most serving leader in the ANC, right? But now I picked Kgalema Motlanthe and Thabo Mbeki because I know that some of you will say, but we have Thabo Mbeki and we have Kgalema Motlanthe. Yes, we do have them, right? But they do not exert the same influence as Jacob Zuma does. For example, we had Thabo Mbeki. We know Thabo Mbeki that he left and Jacob Zuma just came after him, right? But we never saw afterwards any influences when it comes to the masses in a particular cause or something supporting Thabo Mbeki as a former president, right? But we've seen that with Jacob Zuma. We have seen that in him attending his court appearances. We have seen people coming to support him in numbers, right? And let's talk about Kgalema Motlanthe. Kgalema Motlanthe was never in a forefront, even when maybe he left his presidency. He was never maybe campaigning or being part of maybe leadership of some sort and wanting the vote or wanting to exert that influence over the masses of the ANC people. You never saw Kgalema Motlanthe in that light. So Kgalema Motlanthe does not fall in the equation of what I'm trying to pass across, right, as the most influential politician, right? But let us go back to Jacob Zuma. I want to show you something about Jacob Zuma, right? It is not me. The status quo will just declare who's the most powerful politician and influential politician of all time, right? So according to me, there are a couple of politicians that are very influential when it comes to or defining South African politics. So number one, according to what I saw, it is Jacob Zuma. Jacob Zuma is the most influential politician, right? Then number two, it is the CIC. The fighter method. Julius Malema. Julius Malema is the second of the best after Jacob Zuma. He's the most influential politician because mostly he's followed by the youth of South Africa. So they really believe in Julius Malema. So that makes him to be at number two. So number three, it is Gwede Mantashe, right? You may disagree or you may agree. But I will tell you why I say Gwede Mantashe is the most influential politician, right? Even when he is in the ANC. Remember, the ANC has the most members, has the most numbers, has a lot of people who support the ANC, right? Yes, it is fine. He's influential at the ANC, but for the sake that they have the numbers, he does fit perfectly in the category of becoming the most influential politician, right? Tell me of any conferences that you knew of the ANC where Gwede Mantashe was not voted to be part of the top 6 or to get the top position, being a leader of the ANC. Tell me just one conference. Another person that I will just name is Fikile Mbalula. You know, Fikile Mbalula, he may speak and talk what he wants to talk, but he is very influential, right? Especially at the ANC. Fikile Mbalula is one of the comrades that are following the steps of Gwede Mantashe. There was no time whereby Fikile Mbalula was not elected to become in the leadership of the ANC, whether he becomes the top 6 or he gets the ministerial position, right? So Fikile Mbalula exerts that also the same influence, right, of being a politician, which is the influencer and the most loved politician, right? Yes, he's loved by the ANC members. That's why they keep on voting for him, right? But again, going back, just rewinding a bit, let us go to Jacob Zuma. Let me just give a brief history. Not a lot, but a brief history. You know, Jacob Zuma now, when I look at him, I marvel when I look at Jacob Zuma. Jacob Zuma has changed. Jacob Zuma, I can say now, he looks beautiful. He's glowing. Let me use that word. Jacob Zuma is glowing. There was a time when Jacob Zuma, we hardly see him on television after he was recalled of being the president. There was a time whereby he just dimmed. We never heard of him for quite a time. And we'll see him maybe after 6 months when they are doing some podcasts with Tutuzane. But we will not regularly see him, right? And when we saw him, Jacob Zuma has completely changed. His skin tone was even darker. And he looked sick. He was frustrated when you look at him. It was like a complete Jacob Zuma from what you used to know Jacob Zuma as when he was a president, right? And this got many people worried about Jacob Zuma's health. Even the reports that were saying that Jacob Zuma got a parrot because he was sick. We even believed those reports because he looked really sick. Because even his complexion, it changed to be darker, right? So he was just worried some because we thought, nah, but there's something wrong about Jacob Zuma. Then there was a turning point for Jacob Zuma. Something happened for Jacob Zuma. What is that? You know, the arrest of Jacob Zuma made Jacob Zuma to realize how powerful he is in this country. Because you remember when he was attending his court appearances, there was a time when by the attendance of his supporters was strong. But as he kept on attending, seems like the support was just declining, and very few people ended up supporting him when he appeared maybe in Maritzburg High Court or in Johannesburg High Court, right? But you know the turning point where he realized, because you remember when before he was arrested, he always urged people to vote for the ANC, even though there was like this perception about the incompetency and in the ANC not keeping their promises. Like there was that cry, that voice that was crying, but that voice never knew who to turn to say, but the ANC, Jacob Zuma would come and say, urge people to vote for the ANC, right? But you know, when Jacob Zuma was arrested, it reminded Jacob Zuma of how powerful he is when it comes to politics in South Africa. Because Jacob Zuma was arrested. Yes, Jacob Zuma is arrested, right? Then after that, there was looting across the country, right? And the center of looting, I'm not talking about the nature of why people looted, right? I'm not talking about the criminal acts. I'm not analyzing the criminal act. I'm analyzing what became the point of subject, even though wrong things were done, but there was a point of subject, right? Whether to associate that point with what the criminal activities of the people, it was your analysis. Don't include us, right? But when guys were found there at burning malls, taking stuffs in the malls, taking fridges, taking plasma screens, when they were asked, they were arguing the point of Jacob Zuma.
the police hopelessly outnumbered. Protests started with the jailing of former South African President Jacob Zuma last Wednesday, accused of corruption. His supporters see his treatment as a symbol of the current government's repression. If they release Zuma, he says, we would be free. Until then, we keep protesting. But over the weekend, this spark ignited frustration with years of economic hardship, unemployment at 32%, and months of pandemic restrictions. And now the prospect of food shortages and hunger.
You say, but you've arrested the old man, you've arrested Jacob Zuma, right? And Jacob Zuma saw how the country responded to his arrest, and that reminded him of how powerful as a politician he is, right? All right, after that, Jacob Zuma then got his parole, he was released. Then Jacob Zuma does a press conference, and now we start to criticize the ANC for the first time publicly. Then we saw a change. Jacob Zuma, the one who didn't go to prison and the one who came out of prison. There was now a change of going. So Jacob Zuma came now and he said that no, started to criticize the ANC, right? Then Jacob Zuma, a few months, then boom, he established the MK party. Then after establishing the MK party, then we started to see Zuma again on our TV screens, on social media, on YouTube, and other platforms, right? And now Jacob Zuma now started to change all of this suddenly. Then Jacob Zuma has a glow. Jacob Zuma, his skin tone is back. Now he's lighter in complexion. And Jacob Zuma now, he is even not looking as old as he used to look a few months ago or when he was out of prison. He completely changed. And Jacob Zuma, one thing that I will say about him is that Jacob Zuma is very energetic, right? He can outrun many of us. It's like Jacob Zuma is having the age that he's having, but his body is young. His energy is that of a 20-year-old. That is how energetic he is, right? So those who are making this argument that Jacob Zuma is old, is going on, there's an idea that Jacob Zuma is healthier than you, but you are younger, you are like 30, 40 times younger than him, right? Jacob Zuma is another politician. The man is old, but is very influential. I have this video that will disprove all arguments. I don't care what you say. Fighters, you can attack me. MK people, you can agree or disagree with me. ANC, you can agree or disagree with me. IFP, PA, DA, but I want to play this video. Let us just watch the video, then we will respond afterwards. Here's the video.
Sorry, colleague. Hey, ladies, can we move? Can we move, please? Can we move? Can we move, please? You're chasing him away.
I bet you saw the video. Did you see the influence? Did you see the influence? Even the journalists forgot that they published bad things about Jacob Zuma. Everything connected to Jacob Zuma, when the journalists are publishing, they will say corrupt so and so, corrupt accused so and so, Gupta linked so and so. So they will start to make a gesture while they will put his name associated with what they want maybe to give across, right? But when Jacob Zuma entered the IEC offices, the media went crazy. They went into a frenzy to an extent that Abo Helenzile and Abo Gweda Mantash and Abo Fikile Mbalo, they became nothing, right? And there was even a video, when you check on that video, it is reported that even the media didn't care about Helenzile to an extent that when they were fighting to capture Jacob Zuma to an extent that they hit Zile. and she fell on the ground. They almost stepped on top of her. No one talked about and reported that. And I went back to verify that was Helen Zille. Even the people were saying that Helen Zille fell down. And remember how powerful and influential is Helen Zille in the DA. And Helen Zille, remember, he once became a rival with Jacob Zuma. He was contended with Jacob Zuma to say who give this analysis. He wanted to argue with Jacob Zuma, to have debates with Jacob Zuma because they were competing, right? But when Jacob Zuma landed there, Helen Zille fell, boom, on the ground, just to show his power, his influence, right? There is all the politicians that you can name. You can name Julius Malema, you can name Gwede Matash, you can name Fikile Mbalula, you can even name President Cyril Ramaphosa. When they got there, the journalists never responded as they did when Jacob Zuma entered that center. That center was a verification or a proof of the affidavit that in the 21st century, there is no politician that is so influential like Jacob Zuma. We're talking about the man who opens the party 3 to 4 months and it gets millions and millions of votes, people voting for him.
The vote tja rena tja EFF a di tswe Limpopo fela, di tswa everywhere. Unlike ba o dira di vote tja maZulu Natala fela, ba fetsa ba claim or no, they are a national party. They are IFP light. They are not a national organization. They exist and get their votes in KZN.
Right? And this notion of the CIC just trolling the MK party, trolling Jacob Zuma, and calling the MK party to be the political party of the Zulus. I don't think the CIC understands the plan. Maybe not the plan. I don't think the CIC understands the exact influence that Jacob Zuma possesses. Because the mistake that the CIC is doing is that when he associates the MK party with Zulus, he forgets that he also have Zulus who are supporting the EFF, right? So what do you think those Zulus will respond like if they hear that now we are making this political party to be about them and they are in favor of the EFF, right? So the influence that the MK party exerts and Jacob Zuma, maybe Jacob Zuma in particularly, Julius Malema does not understand it. I don't know what blinds the CIC because Julius Malema is the smart man, but he miscalculated the influence of Jacob Zuma even this time around. And Jacob Zuma has proven, besides any benefit of the doubt, that he is the most influential. Even in the ANC, no one can garner support like Jacob Zuma. That has been seen. Even across the country, when it comes to becoming the opposition, no one can gain political support as Jacob Zuma. Let's take, for example, as a case study, Mmusi Maimane. I hope you are still following. Mmusi Maimane left the DA and he opened his own political boss. Right? How many votes did he get? He gets the lowest votes ever. Is he influential? Maybe to some few people, handful of people. Let's take Herman Mashaba. Herman Mashaba was very influential, talking about how he wants to deport the foreign nationals in Joburg. And he made this political party, and it was very influential. It seems like many people wanted to associate themselves with Herman Mashaba's political party. But question, how many votes did he get? Right? Compare those votes that Herman Mmusi Maimane got and see the numbers of the MK in just 3 to 4 months. Right? So whether we disagree or not, the proof stands that Jacob Zuma is the most influential. Whether Jacob Zuma is old or is young or not, but Jacob Zuma in his old age has made history.